Welcome to another episode of The Truth About Healing, a podcast that's here to challenge everything you think you knew about therapy. I'm Dana Coretta Stein, EMDR and neuro-informed therapist, and I'm on a mission to help 10 million people change their patterns, relationships, and future generations by teaching them how to gain control of their nervous system. Let's go with it. Dorothy Cascerceri Simone is the host and executive producer of the podcast That Greenwich Life, an event MC and live auctioneer, luxury travel writer, and digital content creator. Through her media career, Dorothy has worked with major outlets including People Magazine, In Touch Weekly, Life and Style Weekly, and the National Enquirer, appearing regularly on television discussing entertainment news and celebrity culture. Beyond media, Dorothy is a fierce advocate for pregnancy loss, infertility, PTSD, and trauma healing. Following a TFMR, multiple pregnancy losses, unsuccessful IVF journeys, and PTSD, Dorothy found healing through EMDR therapy and now uses her platform to help other women feel less alone in their own healing journeys. Dorothy, welcome to The Truth About Healing.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so glad you're here. Like, quite a background, and like you've done so much and have healed so much. So I'm so excited to unpack all of this with you. So tell me a little bit about like your story about loss, survival, and
How much time do you have?
We've got. I think you have to be done at 11:30, right? So we've got as long as you've got, my love.
So basically, I went through this like horrific period of life, and I talk about it a lot on my podcast, That Greenwich Life, and about on my Instagram as well. I'm at Dorothy on TV. But I went through this horrific period of life where I kind of died as a person, I feel, and then I kind of like came back
like
and rebuilt, and rebirthed myself.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for it now. I look back and I know that it all happened for me and not to me, even though at the time, I think shedding that victim mentality was really what it was all about.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. And I was really excited when you invited me to come on your show because I get invited to do a lot of podcasts and each one is always different and each host is different. But your show in particular is so fabulous because of what you do, which is EMDR therapy.
Yeah.
And, for me, that was such a game changer. Yeah. And it's something that I have realized a lot of people don't really know much about.
Correct.
So I have tried through my podcast to talk a lot about my experience and to, motivate people to look into it. And I have actually successfully motivated several people to pursue
so exciting.
it. I know.
That's so exciting because that's like the vision, right? That's
like
what we want is to spread the word about EMDR
and
how amazing it is.
It makes me so glad because I wish that I knew about it at other times in my life to kind of address other traumas.
Right.
But I went through like the worst possible case scenario that you can think of as a pregnant woman when all of the tests were looking great. Everything was coming back perfect. We told our son, who was 3 years old, that his baby brother was coming. And then at our 20-week anatomy scan, towards the end of the scan, we received like the absolute worst news you could ever imagine. Yeah. And our lives were forever changed in that one particular moment.
Wow.
And, it's a really long and involved story. So just kind of like to give the brief version of it as it pertains to me and EMDR, we enlisted the help of like the best surgeons, the best doctors, and there was like multi-layers of problems and there was a huge problem with our son's heart and surgery was really not something that was going to fix it. And so we really were not given much of a choice aside from, carrying him to term and then giving him comfort care and watching him die within, days of being born. And so, we selected a TFMR and we, you never think you're going to be in this situation.
Of course not. Yeah, you never want to think.
You never want to.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't, I don't wish this on my worst enemy. I can think of a couple of people I'm not too crazy about. I do not wish this on my worst enemy. And the fact of the matter is this was our reality and this is our story and our life. And it was literally the most earth-shattering, heartbreaking thing I've ever gone through as a human being. And
As
I've
a mom, I
gone
can't
through
even
really
imagine.
difficult things.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. And so, there was a lot of trauma around that.
Sure.
To come home from the hospital without your baby in your arms. But you basically like your milk comes in.
Yep.
And your whole body is basically like in a postpartum state, but there's no baby.
There's no baby. Yeah.
It's kind of like a miracle that I look back and that I actually like survived it. Like sometimes when I talk about it, it doesn't even feel like it was actually my life because I don't know how I survived that, especially taking care of a 3-year-old, a 3.5-year-old at the time.
That and 3-year-olds are challenging in and of themselves. Like we both have that right now too. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
And also, dealing with his grief.
Of course.
And, having to find a way to tell him that our baby was going to stay, with God instead of coming to our house.
Yeah,
I always cry when I talk about this, no matter how long it's been, because
it's real.
The grief will always stay with me.
Absolutely. You're not supposed to feel okay about it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And I never will. I never will. But the trauma was so real. Mm-hmm. And I was having a really hard time, and I was really, really depressed, and all the things that you think. And, there was a little bit of a disconnect at the time with certain key people in my life who I thought were key people.
Right.
And so that was kind of like a secondary trauma that I bring up because a lot of people that have gone through pregnancy loss and miscarriage and failed IVF and infertility, it's really, really, really bad, and it's a really hard journey to walk.
Yeah.
But there is a huge difference when you have, parents and family members and friends that are just unconditionally holding your hand and walking that journey with you.
Right.
And we had many, many people unconditionally walking that journey with us. But we did deal with some seemingly key people not really being such key supports.
Like some surprises, things that shocked you.
Yeah. And that carries its own trauma. And
we call it the trauma after the trauma, right?
Correct, exactly. Yep. And so, I was having a really, really hard time. And my therapist at the time had recommended EMDR therapy. And I found this amazing, amazing woman who had done a lot of pro bono work with a lot of the first responders that went to Sandy Hook Elementary.
Oh, okay.
And she's just an incredible person. And I really didn't know a lot about it, but I was open to anything.
Right.
Anything that was going to help me not be such a shell of myself.
Yeah.
I was open to.
Yeah.
And so, it was life-changing for me.
Wow.
It was really completely different than what I thought it was going to be.
Yep. What did you think it would be?
I thought it was going to be a lot more talking about the situation.
Yep.
And it was a lot more kind of, talking internally.
Processing.
Processing, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating to me. And we did talk a lot about it. And, I gave her all of my background. And the other thing that was so interesting to me about it is that I thought it was something that I was going to need to do for, a
forever,
very
right?
long period of time.
Yeah,
I was willing to do it for forever.
Yeah.
But she graduated me after, I think, maybe 8 sessions at that time.
Right.
At that time. And, when I looked into it more and understood the science behind it, it made sense.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a lifelong treatment. It has an end date. It's about integration and processing experiences and rewiring your nervous system. And then that term graduation, that's big in our practice, is we want you to graduate. We want you to not need us anymore. We're always here if things come up and life happens again. But
I did go back.
Yeah.
I did go back eventually. Because,
there's layers, right?
Right. Because the thing is, I talk about my story in terms of that that first crucial thing that happened with our son Dean, with our angel baby. But that was just if it was just that, I feel like, okay, like that's horrible, but that's an isolated
single incident,
right? Like I ended up really having complex PTSD.
Most people do, and they don't realize. Like it's
I
it's
had
very rare that we have one terrible thing.
CPTSD.
Yep.
Because then I went through, a period of time where what happened to us had nothing to do with me or my husband. It was a complete random. Had nothing even to do with my age. I was, I think, 38 at the time.
Right.
What happened to us was completely random. It was like a 20-year-old getting pregnant and a 40-year-old getting pregnant have the exact same chance of this particular thing occurring.
Right.
And we were under the assumption that, the doctors all assured us that everything would be fine going forward. And everything was so not fine going forward. Wow. And it really was kind of like I call it like the kickoff party to this like horrific, even more horrific time. Like you don't think things could get worse.
Right.
But they did.
But it's just like a whole time period of distress.
And then like we couldn't get pregnant, and then we did an IUI, and then that didn't work, and then COVID shut the world down, and all of fertility, all of the IVF world was shut down.
Yep.
And then we did like our first IVF cycle. And for anyone who's been through IVF, listen, if you do it and then you have all these eggs and you have all these embryos, and then you transfer an embryo back in, and then you're pregnant, and then you have a baby.
Right.
Guess what? It is a great tool. It is a great thing to have. Science is amazing.
Right.
It's something that can really feel like a really positive and empowering experience.
Right.
But when you do it, and all of those things don't happen.
Absolutely.
And they continually don't happen.
Yep.
And the doctors have no idea what's happening.
Yep.
You get on this roller coaster that is just unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, I feel like there's no positive end in sight.
Right. And then you're dealing with more death within your body. You're dealing with another procedure where you have to go in and you have to go under anesthesia.
Right.
I mean, I was under anesthesia so many times. I always say like I rival Michael Jackson because I had so many procedures, and it was just like living in this fun house, this not so fun house.
Right. Like a nightmare house.
Yeah. And it was just more and more trauma.
Yeah.
And all the needles and all the doctor's appointments and all the blood draws. One time I went in at 7:00 in the morning, and there were 18 vials that they needed to take.
Wow.
Without even...
It's like you're like Tyson in the ring, and you just keep getting hit, but you don't like have any time to recover.
That's right. And each loss and each time that I'm not even going to say like things weren't going our way and things weren't working out. That doesn't explain enough how badly they were going.
Right.
They were going like the polar opposite of what anybody had expected.
Yeah.
Like we had
what makes it so terrible, right?
So terrible.
It's just like the shock of things that you don't expect. Like you have kind of like an idea of where things will go, and maybe it could go this way, maybe it could go that way, but when you keep getting like curveballs.
Correct. And we just kept getting hit, and I just sunk more and more into a depression, and my anxiety around it just kept escalating and escalating. And now remember, like, for somebody that goes into IVF and goes through multiple cycles of IVF, that is hard enough.
Absolutely.
But we started with a huge void.
Absolutely.
We started with our guest room at the end of the hall, still a guest room.
Yeah.
We started with all of these dreams of our baby being in our arms and being in our life, and not.
Right.
And so it felt like every move that we made to try to come closer to that dream being fulfilled, the universe was like, nope, sorry. Like you're going to go, not only are you going to go start like from the absolute beginning.
Wow.
But everything that you've done so far, like didn't count for anything. All the like money that you spent, all the shots that you've done, like everything.
Yeah.
And it was really a torturous situation.
How long of a time period was that?
It was 2019, March, when we found out about our son.
Yep.
And it was June of 2022 that I told my husband, that is all now.
Okay.
That
So 4 years of you
now.
trying and keep trying again, like taking the hits. 4
and getting
years.
pregnant.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we had like my 40th birthday was such a watershed moment. And I use that word because we had an insane flood throughout like all of Greenwich, many parts of Greenwich with Hurricane Ida.
Okay.
And we had 6 feet of water in our lower level of our home.
Oh, wow.
It was so traumatic. It was so frightening.
Right.
It was literally the night of my 40th birthday.
Wow.
It wiped out all of my
symbolic
photo.
in some weird way.
It is entirely symbolic.
Yeah.
It wiped out all of my photo albums, like from like my, you know, like high school and college, like everything
It's
that
almost
I
like, okay,
owned.
let's like clear the deck and start over.
Correct. And I was also pregnant at the time.
Oh, wow.
We had taken a break from IVF and I had gotten pregnant just ourselves. And we were so excited. We're like, this is it. This is what we were waiting for. And I was going over to Greenwich Hospital, like in the midst of cleaning up all of this debris and all of our belongings. And my levels were amazing. And finally I went to my OB and ultrasound was amazing. And, you know, we were going through this like horrific, like post-flood situation.
Right.
We lost all the systems in our house. We had no air, no heat, whatever.
Right.
All the insurance, you know how stressful something like that can be.
It's terrible. It's just like a lot of moving parts.
Correct. And we had a birthday party that my husband had planned for me for my 40th that was scheduled to be at our house within a week, and we had to cancel that for like 150 people. Canceled that, but he surprised me with a trip to Croatia later that month.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, that's so sweet. I'm a travel writer, so I'm the one that's always planning the trips.
Yep.
And so, you know, I was going to the doctor, everything was great, and then the day before we left to go to Croatia, I went in and did the ultrasound and, you know, chit-chatting with the ultrasound tech. And she's like, I'm so sorry, there's no heartbeat.
Oh, God.
Wait, what?
And this is everything was looking good. Everything was
Everything was
fine.
looking great.
Right. So you started like getting hopeful.
Yeah. And I just like remember like I might need like some tissues for this this episode. I'm not gonna lie. But absolutely. I just like remember like sitting in that office and just like just being like, this is the most like bottomless moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had also around the flood and around my birthday, I had also had like a come to Jesus moment with a parent of mine.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, you know, set a very loving boundary.
Yep.
That,
It's well put, loving boundary.
Yeah.
That's how
that
they
like,
can be.
you know, like you're hurting the people you love the most.
Yep.
And I hope that you can get some help because we're in like a world of trouble right now with this flood and we have a million other things going on. Nobody in my family even knew that I was pregnant because things were so strained.
Yep.
And I just, you know, really had this moment of like, I don't even think I'm a person anymore.
You just don't feel like
Like
yourself
I might
anymore.
just not even be like a person.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even think like I matter. I don't think I matter.
Start feeling invisible
in the world. And like, you know, like my angels, like my grandmother, like nobody's watching over me, you know?
Start feeling really
like
alone.
It just like got like so bad. But I was just like, you know, this is it. Like I have now just been like reduced to pretty much like nothing. And, you know, and I had like, it just was such a bad time, you know?
Yeah. I so appreciate your vulnerability right now. I know it's hard.
And it was during this time that I went back to my EMDR therapist.
Yeah.
Because I felt suicidal, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
it's
I
a
hate
dark,
to even
scary
say that
place,
because
but it's real.
my son, my living son, you know, was like the center of my universe. And he, I would never ever do anything to ruin his life, you know?
But it's a scary, scary
But
feeling.
it was really scary because I really just felt like at that time, like I am so powerless.
And it's terrifying, right? Because as a mom, you're like, I would never do that to my kid, but I also feel like being here, I'm hurting my kid because I'm the worst version of myself. And you feel trapped.
Yeah, totally trapped. It was really like an all-time low.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went back to EMDR and, it was really, really helpful,
Yeah.
you know? But I mean, I went through so much during that period of time. And, you know, I did so many different things to heal, like, you know, grief retreats and meditation and
slowed down.
yoga. And I was like on pause.
Yeah.
I mean, pause for me, you know, which is probably like some people's busy.
Right.
But yeah, it was like a wild, wild time.
Yeah.
And I was really, really unwell. And after that incident, after I set those loving boundaries for some people in my family and family of origin, I should say. And, you know, I just like took a break from it all. And I was just like, no, I need to really focus on my healing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I can't have like one more death in my body.
Right.
I mean, this is insane.
Right.
I felt like I was just a body, like a physical form of a person walking around.
Right.
But inside, like, it was definitely my dark night of the soul.
You've like totally disconnected.
Completely disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at what point, like from where you are now today, right? So how did you start rebuilding that connection with yourself? When did like that light start coming back on?
So I think really, you know, after the flood and my birthday, I think that was my time to really start accepting that we would probably not have another child. And that I needed to really save myself at this point in time.
Yeah.
Because my husband was, you know, great. But we had our times too during all of this where I wasn't sure that we were going to make it.
It's, trying times absolutely can stress relationships for sure.
But we, you know, like we worked hard. We worked really hard and put in a lot of work in our marriage. And I just started every single day trying to implement the tools that I had learned around my grief and around my anxiety and around like my nervous system, really.
100%.
Yeah. And I think also I went on a grief retreat, and that's when I came to the realization, like in the dark, before the sun rose, I was like going for the sunrise, and I got locked out of the building. It was a whole thing, and I realized that every single thing that had happened up until that point has happened for me and not to me. And I really
was just like this like kind of aha moment that you had?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was really able to shed this victim mentality that I actually had been walking around my entire life having.
Yeah.
Like in all other places of life.
Right. Right. And on this like retreat you were on, were you doing like a lot of like right before that point, what kind of work were you doing on that retreat? Because it sounds like the nervous system was settling so you could have that aha moment.
That's right. Because this was the last morning of the retreat. Okay. And it was yoga for grief.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of like group talk.
Okay.
And everybody
connection
there.
with other people.
Connection with other people. Everybody there had been through something, you know, I mean, from something even like 17,000 times more traumatic than what I had gone through to like, you know, the grief of somebody moving out of their home into another home.
Right.
You know, like
and
grief.
Everybody can feel that intensity can be the same for everybody, regardless of what the situation is.
Right. Correct. And it was a really, really healing couple of days. And
so you did body work, you did like a lot of connection
body work
with other people.
Right. We wrote
like co-regulation.
Yes. We wrote like a letter to like our future selves. And
I
then
love that exercise.
And then actually I ended up getting it in the mail.
Yeah.
Like a long time after.
Wow.
I still have it. We did like a lot of different activities. You know, we did something with like rocks, like little rocks, like little pebbles in a little bag, and like what you're going to like take out of the bag and put in the jar. I mean, there was just a lot. And it didn't heal me overnight.
The best type of healing doesn't.
Right. But it had been a culmination of a lot of the different healing modalities that I was using.
Yep.
And
I always say there's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
like
right.
A lot of these like amazing modalities, there's not one in particular. It's like the best one. They all kind of support each other.
That's right. That's right. And frankly, when that happened, the night of my 40th birthday, when the flood happened and everything happened, I saw a different nervous system at play.
Yeah.
My nervous system was already starting to regulate in a way that it never ever had. In the midst of the chaos and the groundlessness of all of that.
Yeah. What did you feel viscerally different in your body? Like, how did you, like, if someone's listening and they're like, well, what does that mean? Like, how did you feel it? What did it feel like?
It felt like, oh my gosh, everything is gone. But we are safe. We are okay.
So there's a level of groundedness.
There was a level of groundedness. That was 3 weeks before I went in for the ultrasound.
Right.
And then when the ultrasound happened, I mean, I was like, okay, I'm not going to Croatia tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to go to Croatia and then, risk like having a miscarriage in Croatia. I'm not going to get on a plane and fly with this death in my body.
Right.
So instead of going to Croatia, I went to Stanford Hospital. Okay. And I had another D&C.
Yeah.
And but to kind of like highlight how I was evolving.
Right.
We then ended up, we couldn't go to Croatia. We couldn't push the dates. My mother-in-law couldn't come. It was complicated. It was the end of the season. The flights were different.
Right. There's a lot of moving parts.
There was a lot of moving parts, but we ended up the following week flying to Italy.
Okay.
To the Amalfi Coast.
Beautiful. It's where I had my honeymoon.
Did you?
Beautiful.
I had never.
Beautiful.
Actually, I had been there. I'd been there one time, but it was like March when I was there.
Yep.
So
gorgeous.
we caught the end of the summer season, and we went, and it was a short trip, and I just remembered like jumping off of the boat into the water.
Yeah.
And just looking at the coastline and
feeling
feeling
so
like
healing.
So healing, and feeling like it was a baptism of sorts for me. Like everything is completely turned on its head. Everything that we thought was going to happen, not only did it not happen, but all of these horrific, like ungodly things have happened. Like my body has been through the worst traumas in like the most sacred
like a veteran,
place of your being as a woman.
Yep.
And yet, here I was.
Yeah.
Here I was. I was able to finally start to learn how to hold the light and the dark at the same time.
Yes. That's walking the middle path, right?
Yes.
We call it. Yeah.
And EMDR helps me with that a lot. A lot.
Yeah. There's so many like explanations for why, right? The activation, the bilateral, the activation of both hemispheres of the brain, all of that. But that is the end result, right?
Right.
It gives you that radical acceptance
Be
able to hold two opposing things at the same time in one spot.
Yes, exactly. And I don't think I ever knew what that was or what it meant. Everything for me was always like nervous system was always operating like I was being chased by a lion.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Just like your survival mode, but everyone probably thought you were just like really sort of looking for
high energy.
Yeah, they're probably like, wow, God, you're you're so strong. You do everything. And oh, wow, how do you do it all? And you're just like, inside I'm dying.
Yeah. And so now that I'm thinking about the timeline of this, it was 2021 and it was September that this all happened. And I had gone to the grief retreat the February, like 6 months prior.
Okay.
6 months prior. So I think by that time, like I actually felt like maybe I got pregnant on our own, like that August, because I had felt like something was changing in my body for the better.
Well, when your nervous system shifts, right, like that affects our reproductive system, right? If we're in a state of kind of rest and digest or more regulation, our body has the ability to hold a pregnancy more, get pregnant a little easier.
Right.
It's the whole connection between cortisol and progesterone and all of that. Like I could get down on that science all day long, but absolutely it's a big shift.
Yeah. Yeah. I really do think like February of 2021, like that grief retreat was the beginning.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of definitely a big shift. And then dealing with September and the events of September in its entirety. I mean, that was a lot for a person to deal with. And
Were you working at this time too?
I didn't have my podcast yet. My podcast, That Greenwich Life, I think really the opportunity to do it really came from this chain of events.
Right.
And
even
kind
like
of
your bio, you have
having
so
this
much
voice.
stuff that you've done.
Yeah.
So
I was doing some things.
Yeah.
But not like I was doing a lot more like brand work at the time.
Okay.
I was working with brands and doing content for them for social and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, like
That's the other element too, right? Like then there's like real life stuff of like, oh, I have to work, I have bills to pay, but like my body's trying to heal, and what the hell do I do?
Totally.
And it's like even like saying it, right? Like your chest gets tight of like, fuck, that was really hard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And actually, you know what's interesting now that I'm remembering, the birthday party that I was scheduled to have for my 40th, I asked if people, instead of gifts, could make a donation to the nonprofit that my EMDR therapist actually founded, which is EMDR Therapy for First Responders.
Oh, it's ERN, right? The Trauma Recovery Network?
It's not. I don't think
We
it's
have to
that.
talk to because I think I know who your therapist is, and wonderful, wonderful human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Susan Duvall.
Oh, maybe not.
Is my I
But
forget.
I know there's a whole like Fairfield chapter that I was connected with for a long time.
Maybe it is that. Maybe they renamed it since then. I'm forgetting the name, but
Dawn Roy did a lot with the First Responder Network
it
too.
literally just dawned on me that this is how passionate I felt about EMDR at this point of life.
Right.
That out of all of the charities and all of the causes that I wanted people to support, I wanted to support that one.
Yeah.
So
because you see like how the benefit it had for you, and you want others to feel the same way, right? And first responders is something. I mean, we all know I'm super passionate about that, and because that's, you're on the front lines and you're like literally giving your life to society,
and you're seeing things that you honestly cannot unsee,
that no one should ever have to see.
Correct.
And then expect it to still function.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was actually my cause, and I think, looking back now that I'm like, because it's all kind of like a blur in a way.
Of course, yeah.
But like as I tell the story again, looking back, it makes complete sense that that's what I would have chosen at the time, because I was very much moving along. Like I had turned the corner on my healing journey.
Right.
I had turned the corner. And then when I got hit with the flood, and then I had the family of origin trauma, and then when I had no heartbeat at my doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
That was a lot to survive in that 1 month.
Yeah.
And
that is a lot in 1 month.
Yeah. And I quietly, I grieved it, and I mourned, and I was mad, but I was already entering into that place of just radical acceptance. Like, this is the most groundlessness. This is the bottom.
Yeah.
I have to just start thinking about what is my life going to be moving forward.
Right. And then what happened?
And then what happened was, in the spring, I did what I said. I did another IVF cycle in the spring. I don't actually really know why.
That's why I asked the question, because I hear you saying like, I've accepted it.
I guess I wasn't entirely accepting of it, that we weren't going to have another baby. We still had 2 cycles left on our insurance.
You can accept it and still just try anyway.
Yeah, that's what I think it was. It was a try anyway. It was a try anyway. And
it's almost like you understand the outcome might not be what you want, but you're still willing to be vulnerable.
Right. We had the insurance. We had some insurance coverage, and we only had 2 cycles left. And so I think that's what it was. It was definitely like a try anyway mentality, just to say that we did, and not to leave those cycles that were paid for by insurance on the table. We still had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars. We definitely spent in the 6 figures, regardless of the fact that we had insurance coverage. But I told them that when I wake up from my egg retrieval, I don't want to know how many eggs there were. And then when you
weren't
take
really
them,
attached to the outcome at that point.
correct. This is what I was learning through all of my work that I was doing.
Right.
That contrary to what we were taught as kids, and contrary to what our parents' generation drilled into us, if you work hard enough at something, you'll get the results.
Right.
That's not true.
Right. Right.
And it's okay for that to not be true.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I came to a moment of really kind of realizing that and accepting that.
We can't control everything, and we're not supposed to.
And sometimes max effort just doesn't.
It burns you out.
It doesn't get you there if you're attached to a specific outcome.
Right. It's almost like your hyper focus is too narrow. Instead, like I said to my son yesterday, like zoom out, like see the whole picture first.
Correct.
Because there might be more to it.
And max effort for us, it did get us to an outcome. It wasn't the outcome that we thought, but it did get us to an outcome, and I'll get to that. But I told them, when you take those eggs to the lab and you unite them with the sperm and you create the embryos, do not tell me how many embryos are there in the lab.
Yeah.
I do not care to know the number.
Right.
It doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
Right.
One cycle, we had like 6 embryos, and then they sent them all to the lab, and only one was viable. Like, stop telling me all these numbers.
Right, because then it kind of just like makes you start overthinking everything, and
it's just a roller coaster. It's a ride I don't need to go on.
Right.
Like, I have no tickets left for this carnival.
I have no tickets left. That's well said. Yeah.
Like, so don't tell me. And then when you have them in the lab for 3 days and then for 5 days, don't tell me how many make it.
Right.
Don't tell me how many you're sending off to get tested.
You don't want to know every single step of the process.
Correct.
You just want to
let me know at the end if there are any that you tested that are chromosomally normal.
Right.
That can then be transferred back to my body.
Right.
And like, they called us and they're like, yeah, so we tested 3 and they were all abnormal. And I was like, okay, my doctors are not listening to me. I'm going into early menopause.
Okay.
No one is listening. This is what it is. And somehow I ended up doing one more cycle because it was there, right?
Right.
It was there for the taking.
Yep.
And I did one more cycle, and I was like, we're not going to have a child with this cycle.
Right.
We're not. It's just not going to be.
Right.
And you can say all that you want about like, oh, if you have a negative outlook, then you're going to have a negative outcome. That is only true to an extent.
Right. It sounds like you've kind of like left it up to the universe of
Correct.
like, I'm not attached to this actually happening.
And they called me and they called me the next day and they were like, yeah, sorry. We don't really know what happened, but we ended up like, we don't have anything. Like, they ended up arresting like in the, Petri dish or whatever.
Oh, wow.
The embryo was arrested. And I'm like, okay, so you don't have anything to send for testing. Okay, got it. Noted.
Right.
And I remember sitting in my room and just being like, cool.
Yep.
You know what?
Now I know.
I'm done now.
Right.
Now I'm done.
Right.
I have done everything that I could do.
Right.
And now I'm done.
You're kind of accepting your own powerlessness, right?
Correct.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Like, uncle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
all right. I give up. And giving up is not a
up.
bad thing. It's kind of saying like, I can't control everything.
Yep.
I'm not supposed to.
And also like, my doctors need to start listening to me because that's how bad my eggs were. That I was going into early menopause. I had to have been.
Right.
Had to have been.
Right.
And my husband was like, well, maybe it was the lab and maybe it was this and maybe it was that. And, I think we should do one more. And, and he never pushed me. He never did. And finally I said to him, like, listen, dude, it's not happening.
Yeah.
I am not getting pregnant anymore. I'm not going to be pregnant one more time in my life. Not once.
Yeah.
I can't handle it. It is a clown show.
Yeah.
And the next time I get pregnant, I'm going to end up like being pregnant with like a 6-headed like monkey because this is all
Feels that
gone.
way, right?
This is just all gone so like.
It's just not what you expected.
It's just so extreme.
Right.
It's such an extreme departure.
Right.
From where we began in 2019 pregnant with our baby boy.
Right.
Like, how did we get here?
Right. You kind of like, you're like, where, like, we don't even know where we started.
I don't even know where I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like, it's done. Like, it's done.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to like say I did all of that and it amounted to nothing. Like, but I knew at the time that wasn't the way to frame it.
Yeah.
The way to frame it was I did all of that and it didn't bring me a baby, but it brought me this.
And
And like,
this.
and I didn't know what this was going to be.
Right.
I knew that it brought me a much more regulated nervous
I was going to
system.
say, it sounds like it brought you yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
It brought me myself.
Right? Like we talking about this rebirth and this finding yourself. And yes, you went through all of these experiences, and who became born was you.
Correct. And my
Yeah.
friend who specializes in human design, I don't know if you're familiar with human design.
I've never heard. I'm like, what is human design? I'm
it's
like, what is
really
that?
incredible. And I want to just say this really quick because it's one of the most profound things that someone has ever shared with me about this journey that I went on.
Yeah.
Her name is Brianne Cutler, and she's a human design expert. And human design takes the time and date of your birth and location. It has to be the exact time, and it tells you what kind of energy you are. There's like different categories.
Sounds similar to like I know astrology, numerology.
It's a combination of all of those
I
things.
love it. I love Chinese zodiac is like my favorite one.
It's literally it marries all of those things together.
Ooh, well, sounds like something I'd be into.
You would definitely be into it.
Yeah.
And I remember she told me when I was talking to her about my journey, she was a guest on my first season of That Greenwich Life, and she's a friend, and she said, "You didn't change and become a different version of yourself. You actually just returned
Yeah.
to exactly who you were born into this world as."
Right. And that's what happens, right? Like we're born, life happens, and we become so dissociated, so disconnected from our true, authentic self.
Correct.
And that is the trauma, right?
Right.
Is when life is, it's too painful to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And then eventually our nervous system will show that, right? All the difficulties that we have, eventually there's a precipice where we have that, okay, something's got to change. And that goes down the rabbit hole of the healing work and the discovery and reconnecting with that soul you were when you were born.
100%. Before my parents got divorced and caused so much damage, before I had
life
to
happened.
be a people pleaser, before you go through all the things, right?
Yeah.
That we all go through.
Yeah.
And that was the most profound thing that anyone has really shared with me about my journey. And she's entirely right. I never knew what peace meant. I never knew what peace meant. And I said to my husband on the beach that day, like, I am going to be at peace. I will be at peace.
Yeah.
I will choose to be at peace. Every single day will be the first day of the rest of my life.
Wow.
And I remember I got up today like, this is crazy, by the way, this story, by the way, like I'm keeping everybody in suspense because the story has an insane, like an insane plot twist to it. But every day I was like counting the days, like today is day 3. I'm going to be at peace. I'm going to be at peace with my future.
It's almost like when you're in recovery, right?
Correct.
So
Right.
like, day 1 sober, day 2 sober. Yep.
Right. And I got to somewhere in like the high 20s and I got home from my friend's house and I realized I don't really, is my period late?
Oh, wow.
Like, what's going on right now? And I was like, no. And I took a pregnancy test and I was pregnant.
And that's your daughter.
And that's my daughter, Gemma.
Wow.
So
The number 20 kept jumping out at me too, because you had said you lost your son at 20 weeks.
Yep.
The
And
number
I was
20 with like, you were at day 20.
Yeah.
That's interesting to look into that.
I
the
was
meaning
definitely
of that number
like
for
in
you.
like I was definitely like in like the 20s like of like that kind of journey of like, but then I had to be pregnant and
scared when you found
mentally
that out?
survive my pregnancy. And I want to say something really important because I never want somebody listening to my story to say, "Oh, well, okay, so you had your baby in the end. So of course it's easy for you to now sit here and talk about."
But you didn't know that baby was coming.
Right.
Yeah.
It's easy for you to sit here and talk about like how you're healed, and like all these things because
You healed before Gemma was even an idea.
that's right. That's really what ended up happening. And
It's almost like you had a happy ending because you healed.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And I could only have had that pregnancy go to term and she could have only been born alive and healthy if I had gotten to that point that I was able to then mentally survive that pregnancy.
Right.
Because
Not even just mentally, but nervous system wise, physically.
correct.
Right.
Because the pregnancy was, when I saw that positive pregnancy test, you would think like somebody would be like, oh my gosh.
Oh
what?
no, I would imagine you'd be terrified.
I was terrified because like, what fresh hell is going to be around the next corner? What's it going to be? What am I going to now have?
Your experiences have kind
stillbirth?
of created that association where that pregnancy equals grief and terror. Yeah.
I couldn't go to another ultrasound.
Right.
I still even go like for my mammograms, because I have dense tissue, I also have to get an ultrasound.
Yep.
And it's not even on my uterus.
Wow.
It's on my breast.
Right.
But I still feel freaked out when I'm there.
Of course. Yeah. When I had to have one, I was like, I fell apart in the waiting room because like you just all these thoughts of like, what if they find something in my kids and if they don't have their mother? And it's like, I was like a puddle on the floor and I was all by myself like, oh,
Correct.
this is embarrassing. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I never want to be the person that gets to talk about how she healed because she ended up then having her rainbow baby.
Right.
Because there are too many women, there are too many families who are doing all the things and they're going through it all and they're going through all the trauma and they're still waiting for that baby. And those are my people. Like those are the people that I hold closest to my heart.
Absolutely.
Because I know being in that position. When
you get to that place of acceptance, right? And there's those 5 stages of grief, and that last one is acceptance, right? And they don't always go in order, the phases, I always say that, but when you get to that place of acceptance, that's where you find peace.
That's right.
Not just mentally, but inside your physical being, inside your nervous system.
That's right.
And from there, that's where the ability to then get pregnant can come from.
Right.
Right? And the ability to not just get pregnant, but sustain a pregnancy.
Exactly. And there's such a fine line between you blame yourself for every single thing that happens within your own body, for every failed pregnancy, for every miscarriage. Like you blame yourself. You blame like
it's because human beings love to think that we're more in control than we really are.
Correct. And the thing is,
we're so naive.
That's right, we are.
We're just so naive.
But also there is no way to be relaxed when you're going through multiple rounds of IVF and they just keep failing. Like you're not just going to be like, whatever, it's fine.
I say to clients all the time, not every situation requires you to be calm.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
like
exactly.
if there's something or someone in your life that is unsafe, please get reactive.
Yes. 100%.
Please go into fight or flight because that's so you survive.
100%.
Right?
But I will tell you that, this situation, these 4 years, 2019 to 2023, when my daughter was born, and I really count that pregnancy, I count up until the moment that I heard her cry as part of that journey, because the pregnancy, I never, ever, ever thought that I was going to meet her. I never thought I was going to hold her alive.
Yeah.
The possibility was definitely there of holding a stillborn baby. And that's where I went. And for anyone who's listening, who's gone through that, like, I had friends that I held their hands through that process.
Yeah.
And I had been through every iteration of like, how can you completely break a mother's heart?
And it's just so overwhelming that the ripple effect that it has. I think I've shared about this on, I don't know if I have or not, but my daughter is named after my would have been sister. I might cry too, but here we are.
Oh my gosh.
But my dad was married once before, and it was his first child, and full term, beautiful pregnancy, and the doctor delivered her breech and killed her.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
My dad was never the same after that.
Oh,
and obviously that's, I have firsthand experience of seeing like the effect of what it can do to a person and a family. And my daughter's named after my sister.
Oh, I love that.
And that was the way to, my dad passed before she was born. But that was the way to honor his experience and her life, as short as it was. But it's very real of like, when you said like, coming home and thinking you're going to have your baby with you and you don't. And, I saw how that affected my dad. And I saw he was the best father in the world, but he was horribly anxious.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So I think like just you sharing your story of how you've healed through it, and now like seeing like how like Gemma and your son, like moving forward, what their life will be like, it'll be so beautiful because mom went through it and is living to talk about it.
Yeah, it really has been. I mean, the relationship is so special because he's now 10 and she just turned 3.
Yeah.
And their relationship is so sweet and so special. And the way that they are with one another, I mean, just in general, when I look at her, I can't believe that she's here.
I know.
And when I look at her, I feel all of the happiness and the joy and the relief, of my own story and my own journey. But also, like, when I look at her, I feel like all of like the pain and like the suffering of the people that I know and the people that I don't know who are still like, hoping and praying for like that rainbow baby.
Right. It just makes you so grateful, right?
Like, yeah.
So grateful
like,
and
my
so
heart
holding
just,
the
like,
grief for them.
Like, I just like want to like hold those people, and I want to like, I want to like make it better for them.
I know.
Because nobody deserves to go through like what I went through and what people still are going through. Nobody just deserves to live their lives in that like level of darkness.
Absolutely.
But one thing that I will say is that my healing journey was not about healing what happened in March of 2019.
Right.
It was about healing an entire lifetime of Dorothy.
Right.
And an entire lifetime of, just deep pain and anxiety and wounds and a lot of things.
Stress, right?
That
so much
really,
relational stress.
Yeah, that really came predominantly from my family of origin. I always got so lucky throughout my life with my friends, with my friend groups. I was never a mean girl. I was never mean-girled. Nobody ever mean-girled me. I always got pretty lucky with my relationships, my boyfriends over the years. Yeah. I was with some really good guys, and I found an amazing partner. My husband is like, and like I said, we went through our times, okay?
Course, yeah.
Like, I thought for sure that I was going to end up like, putting this guy in an early grave for sure, but
I'm sure my husband will say the same thing.
No homicide convictions yet.
Yeah.
And we worked through it, and I always got really lucky there, but there was a lot of pain that came from my family of origin.
Absolutely.
And, the way that this all happened, it really kind of like, I was due. I was due for a crash when this happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking back, I realized that I was due because I was a mess.
When you finally zoom out, right? You zoom out and you see that whole picture, then you're like, oh, yeah, no, I was like on a path to just.
I was a mess. I was a mess. I was an anxious mess. I was, I loved becoming a mom, like to my son when he was born, and I loved embracing that role. But I was like drinking a lot, and I mean, I still drink, socially, and probably still too much, in certain ways. But like I was just like drinking a lot, and I was really deeply unhappy on the inside, and like our marriage was not good, and I was like posting all these things, and I remember like forcing myself to post this like perfect life.
Right.
And now like when I post things, I only post like what feels real and genuine.
Right.
Like
you don't have to pretend.
Correct. And so I think I always lived my life in a very honest way. My nursery school teacher said to my mom, like, oh, Dorothy will be fine with the divorce because the world is her therapist. Oh. And I know. And it's like, it's actually like really sad. I feel sad for that like little child. But like I always lived in a very honest and vulnerable way. But what I realized with this process is that it's good to live authentically, and it's good to be vulnerable when it helps other people.
Yes.
But it's also not necessary to pick up the phone and speed dial people when something happens and talk and find outside validation in things.
Right.
It's not necessary to perform in front of the camera so that people will tell you how beautiful you are and how well-spoken you are and how great you are.
Repeating that pattern. We're seeking something that we never had. So we're continuing to repeat that pattern and seek it outside of ourselves.
Right.
And then slowing down, we're able to say like, oh, what did I not get that I keep seeking? And that's keeping me in this like hyperdrive state with this norepinephrine and this dopamine and everything, because I keep looking for that. And then when we slow down enough and then we see the pattern and we go, oh, that's what I needed.
Exactly.
And we say the gift of therapy is learning how to give ourselves that which we never got.
Totally. And I think for me, I was always like, everybody look at me. Everything was about me. Like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. You can't believe what just happened. Oh my gosh, my boyfriend just did this, blah, blah, blah. And I think now
that's more it's seeking co-regulation.
Right, seeking co-regulation. That's exactly right.
Yep.
And now I can regulate, not always.
Yeah. Listen, I'll be the first to admit there's moments.
Right. But I can regulate. And now what I do and the platforms that I use are more in service to help others
Right.
than look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right.
Like how can I help the greater collective
Right.
with their own healing? And how can I help everybody be a little bit more gentle with themselves and with one another?
Right. Just be like, one of my core values is always be a fucking person.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
be a fucking person. Like,
Exactly.
Be like,
Oh, wait,
do
I was
the right
allowed to
thing.
curse on this show?
Oh my
Like,
God.
okay.
I let it rip. Like my grandma was Sicilian. She like cursed like a sailor and I just repeat that all day long, much to my mother's dismay.
Right.
Sorry, Mom. Love you. But yeah, absolutely. But that definitely of just being a real human being, like Carl Rogers is like, you know, a foundation of everything. Like person-centered therapy is like a core foundation of like how I operate, and just like, you know, that that congruence, that unconditional positive regard, empathy, right? Empathy doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to like, I feel bad for you, so I'll enable you. No, empathy means like, oh, I can understand what it feels like to be you. I might not be able to do anything about it, but I see you, and I get what that probably feels like.
Yes.
And that is the healing I think we're all looking for, is to someone to just see us and see our pain
Yep.
and not try to fix it, but just sit with us in it.
Correct.
You know? I tell my son, like when he has big emotions, just like his mother. And I tell him all the time, I can't fix your feelings, but I could sit next to you with them so you're not alone with them.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. And I realized too through all of this, I mean, I can't believe the cycles of generational trauma.
Oh, it's
and
unreal.
the patterns that I have broken
Yes.
with my own kids. Like
Yep.
I've never, well, maybe before all of this, maybe, but since all of this, I've never said to my kids, stop crying. I've never said to my kids, like, what are you crying about?
Right.
You know, like be tough, you know,
Yeah.
I've never,
Like, okay, so you're crying.
like
Release, let it out.
Correct. And the way that I see my kids feel so happy and like safe in their life and within their own selves, it's just like, it's the best gift that could have ever come of this, because so few people understand that being in the discomfort is where the true magic unlocks.
Absolutely. My favorite saying is, a comfort zone is a beautiful thing, a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there.
Correct.
If you want to grow, if you want to heal, just be willing to be uncomfortable. And I always use that term of like uncomfortable enough, right? We don't want so much exposure to discomfort that it, you know, exceeds the window of tolerance, to use our EMDR terminology.
Right.
But embrace discomfort, be willing to face it, and you don't have to face it alone. That's where therapy is a beautiful thing. So we've gone through the trauma alone. You don't want to go through the recovery alone.
Right.
Yeah. Dorothy, I'm so grateful for you sharing your story with us and for your vulnerability and
me.
raw honesty. I so value it and appreciate it.
I need to like go drink a martini or smoke a cigarette or something.
Sit in the sun, get that vitamin D. This is usually where like I park my butt in my garden for a few hours. Like after that.
I need to like go do something. I'm actually going to go get my nails done with my daughter. Yeah.
That's my favorite. I love now. My daughter's 3, so we started going too, and it's so much fun. And then if like she's in school, I feel so guilty if I can't bring her with me. I'm like, oh, she's gonna get mad at me. I'm going without her. I feel so bad. But it's so fun. It's so fun. Can you tell our listeners where they can find you, where they can connect with you?
Absolutely. So on Instagram, I'm at Dorothy on TV. My website is DorothyOnTV.com. Cool. My YouTube channel is YouTube.com/Dorothy on TV.
Love that.
Shocker.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, exactly. Dorothy on TV. And then my podcast is That Greenwich Life on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. There's 54 episodes up there from season 1 and 2. So
awesome.
I'm currently on a hiatus, but season 3 will be coming back hopefully at the end of this year, not the beginning. The beginning of the year is long gone.
I know, we're halfway through.
Year.
We just hit like today's June 1st, right? Yeah. We've hit like we're halfway through, which is scary.
I know.
Yeah. Thank you, Dorothy, so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you for doing all that you do, and thank you for helping people with EMDR. It is a magical treatment.
Thank you. Every day I feel very, very lucky to get to do something I love and feel like I was actually put here to do.
Yeah.
It's a very cool feeling. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you need to connect with Dorothy, she's included her information. So grateful for everyone listening. I am Dana Coretta Stein, and this is the Truth About Healing podcast. And I'm here to remind you that we repeat what we don't repair.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Truth About Healing podcast. If you know someone who's still stuck, share this episode with them, because as you know, the truth can set them free. And if you're ready to get started to see what you need to repair, contact us at peacefullivingmentalhealthcounseling.com and we will get you started. Until next time, I'm Dana Coretta Stein, reminding you, we repeat what we don't repair. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health or medical advice. Listening does not create a therapist-client relationship. If you need support, contact a licensed professional or your local emergency services.